Ryan Carter's life had always been defined by attention. From the first moment he stepped onto the soccer field, he'd captured the eyes of everyone around him: fans, teammates, even coaches. His towering frame, perfectly sculpted from years of athleticism, his deep brown eyes that sparkled with effortless confidence, and his easygoing charm had made him the star of Westbrook University's sports scene. The girls flocked to him, and the guys either wanted to be him or be his best friend. He had it all: the fame, the looks, the talent, but all that changed when he was paired with Emma Sinclair for a semester-long project. Emma Sinclair wasn't like the girls he was used to. She didn't wear the latest fashion, she didn't post selfies, and she certainly didn't care about being seen at the most popular parties. She was quiet, introverted, and more likely to be found in the library than on the quad. To most people, she was invisible, just another face in the crowd of brilliant but overlooked students. But there was something about her that Ryan couldn't quite shake. At first, he had assumed that she would be just like any other academic type, withdrawn, shy, perhaps even a little pretentious. But when he showed up to their first meeting in the library, he realized he couldn't have been more wrong. She was so deeply immersed in the assignment, outlining their research with a level of detail he had never seen before, that she barely noticed his presence. And when she did, her response wasn't to engage in small talk about his soccer game or his popularity on campus. Instead, she asked him straightforwardly, "What's your opinion on corporate ethics? Do you think there's a place for true moral responsibility in business?" Ryan was caught off guard by her directness, her confidence, and her absolute disregard for the usual cliches people used when talking to someone like him. Emma wasn't interested in his status or reputation. She was only interested in the conversation. And somehow, that made him feel more alive than any crowd ever had. She saw him, but she didn't need to impress him. She made him feel like he had something more to offer than just his soccer skills. For the first time, Ryan found himself genuinely fascinated by someone. And not in the typical flirtatious way. It was something deeper, something more substantial. She was different. She was smart, sarcastic, and beautifully unapologetic in her quietness. She made him see things from an entirely different perspective. The more they worked together, the more he realized that maybe, just maybe, he wanted to know more about her outside of the project. Their study sessions turned into something that neither of them had planned. It wasn't just about the research anymore. It was about learning each other's minds, discovering the parts of their personalities that others had never taken the time to appreciate. One evening, after hours of working on the project, Ryan found himself lingering longer than usual. Emma had this way of speaking about literature and philosophy that made everything else in the world fade into the background. He was fascinated by how she could weave complex ideas into a coherent, meaningful narrative. Her voice was soft yet powerful, and he felt an odd warmth every time she shared her thoughts with him. He was beginning to realize that he was hanging on to her every word more than just because of the project, but because he wanted to hear her. "Do you ever get tired of being surrounded by people who don't get what you're about?" Ryan asked one night as they sat side by side at the library table. "People just want to see the surface of things, you know? Like, all they care about is the cool factor, but you're not that person. I mean, you're just to you, and I think that's pretty cool." Emma looked up from her notes, caught off guard by his honesty. No one ever spoke to her like that, not with curiosity, not with respect for her individuality. "I guess that's just the way it is," she replied softly. "People see what they want to see. They don't care about what's beneath the surface, unless it's flashy enough to grab their attention." Ryan looked at her, truly seeing her for the first time, really seeing her. "I think I want to know what's beneath the surface. I think I want to understand you more." Emma blinked in surprise, but there was no judgment in his eyes, just a deep sincerity that took her breath away. As their project progressed, so did their bond. But Emma wasn't naive. She knew the whispers would start soon enough. She could already feel it: the stares in the hallways, the awkward glances when she and Ryan shared a brief conversation in the dining hall. People were beginning to notice them, and not in the way Ryan was used to. There was no awe, no admiration, there was judgment. "She's just a nerd," someone from the cheerleading squad remarked one afternoon as they walked past Emma in the quad. "She doesn't even fit in his world." The comment stung more than Emma wanted to admit. She knew the type of girl people thought Ryan should be, with the pretty, outgoing, social girls who fit into his lifestyle. Not a shy girl who preferred reading poetry in quiet corners of the campus. She tried to push the thought away, but the doubt began to creep in. Ryan, on the other hand, didn't understand why it mattered so much to her. Why was she so concerned with what others thought? To him, their connection was real. He wasn't with her because she was a trophy or a status symbol. He was with her because she was different, because she made him feel like he mattered for who he truly was, not just what people saw on the outside. And yet, when Emma pulled away from him one evening, canceling plans to study together, Ryan felt a knot of unease settle in his chest. He knew something was wrong. Emma had always been withdrawn, but this felt different. She wasn't just keeping to herself, she was pulling away from him. He showed up at her dorm room late that night, knocking softly on her door. When she opened it, her face was pale, and her eyes held the weight of everything unsaid. "What's going on, Emma?" he asked gently. "You've been avoiding me." She hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I don't know if I can keep doing this," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I'm not like the other girls. I don't fit into your world, Ryan. People are talking. They're saying things about me, about us, and I can't handle it. I don't know if I'm strong enough to deal with all the noise." Ryan's heart sank. He stepped forward and placed his hands on her shoulders, looking into her eyes. "What people think doesn't matter to me. What matters is us. You and me. You don't have to be anything but yourself. I don't want anyone else. I want you." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she took in his words, and for the first time in a long while, she felt herself breaking open in a way she hadn't allowed in years. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But I'm scared. What if this isn't real? What if you get tired of me? What if I'm not enough?" Ryan cupped her face in his hands, his thumb brushing away a tear. "You are more than enough. You're everything. I don't want anyone else. I never have." And just like that, the walls she'd built around herself began to crumble, piece by piece. For the first time, she believed him. The weeks that followed were filled with quiet moments of reassurance. Ryan never once faltered in his devotion to her. He walked her back to her dorm after class every day. He sat with her at the library, just enjoying her presence without needing to fill the silence with meaningless chatter. And when the whispers continued, when the rumors swirled, he didn't care. He held her hand through it all, and together, they proved everyone wrong. But life wasn't finished throwing challenges at them yet. Emma had always dreamed of studying abroad, so when she received the opportunity for a prestigious fellowship to teach English in Southeast Asia for a year, she knew it was a chance she couldn't pass up. But at the same time, the thought of leaving Ryan behind tore her apart. "Ryan," she said one evening, her voice barely above a whisper, "I've been accepted into a fellowship. I'm going to Jakarta. I'll be gone for a year." Ryan's face faltered for just a second, but then he stepped closer to her, his expression unwavering. "I'll support you, always. If this is what you want, we'll figure it out. I don't want to leave you," she said, her voice cracking. "I know," Ryan said, his tone steady, "but this is your dream, and I'll be here when you get back. I won't let distance change what we have." Emma's heart swelled with love for him, and for the first time, she realized just how lucky she was to have someone who believed in her as much as she believed in him. 2 years later, they were living together in a cozy apartment in Lisbon. They had made it through the distance, the challenges, the self-doubt, and now they had built something real. They didn't have much, just each other and their dreams, but it was enough. One morning, as Emma flipped through a book at their kitchen table, Ryan walked in with 2 mugs of coffee. He sat beside her and kissed the top of her head. "This is the life we built," she said, smiling as she looked up at him. Ryan smiled back, his eyes full of affection. And I wouldn't change a thing. They had built something strong, something that no one and no one at all could ever take away.